First contact gone wrong. The stars had never looked so distant as they did from the bridge of Earth's diplomatic vessel, New Horizon. Captain Sarah Chen pressed her palm against the cold viewport, watching the swirling colors of hyperspace fade into the black void dotted with ancient light. After 3 months of traveling at humanity's fastest speed, they had finally reached the meeting coordinates sent by the mysterious aliens who called themselves the Zephyrian Empire. Sarah had dreamed of this moment since childhood. First contact with an alien civilization, the chance to represent all of humanity in the greatest diplomatic mission in history. She wore her dress uniform proudly, the blue fabric adorned with patches representing every nation on Earth. Behind her, the bridge buzzed with nervous energy as her crew of 25 prepared for the encounter that would change everything. "Captain, we're detecting massive energy signatures ahead," announced Lieutenant Rodriguez from the sensor station. His voice carried a mixture of excitement and fear that Sarah felt in her own chest. "Whatever they're flying, it's big. Really big." Through the main view screen, shapes began to emerge from the darkness. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as the Zephyrian fleet came into view. The alien ships were enormous, each one easily 10 times the size of the New Horizon. Their hulls gleamed with an oily rainbow sheen, like beetle shells, and strange blue lights pulsed along their surfaces in patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Open a communication channel," Sarah ordered, straightening her uniform one final time. "Remember, everyone, we represent 7 billion people today. Whatever happens, we show them the best of humanity." The main screen flickered, and suddenly Sarah found herself face to face with something that shouldn't exist. The alien was tall and impossibly thin, its body covered in what looked like living crystal that shifted colors as it moved. Where a human would have eyes, 2 bright silver orbs rotated in angular sockets. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes mixed with grinding glass. "I am Supreme Commander Vextar of the Zephyrian Empire," the creature announced, its translated words carrying an unmistakable tone of boredom. "So, you are the representatives of the third planet. How quaint." Sarah stepped forward, offering the formal greeting she had practiced thousands of times. "Greetings, Supreme Commander. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Diplomatic Corps. We come in peace, hoping to establish friendly relations between our peoples and learn from each other." The sound that came from Vextar might have been laughter, but it sounded more like breaking crystal. Learn from each other? What could primitive carbon-based insects possibly teach the Zephyrian Empire? The insult hit Sarah like a physical blow, but she maintained her diplomatic composure. "While we may be new to interstellar travel, humanity has much to offer. Our art, our music, our diverse cultures and perspectives." Art. Vextar's crystalline features shifted in what Sarah realized was contempt. "We have observed your art, cave paintings, and noise-making. Your most advanced sculptures would not qualify as children's toys in our empire." On the bridge of the New Horizon, Sarah's crew exchanged uncomfortable glances. This wasn't going according to any of their prepared scenarios. Dr. Webb, Earth's leading xenobiologist, had theorized that any spacefaring civilization would be naturally curious about other life forms. He had been wrong. "Perhaps we could discuss technology sharing." Sarah tried again, her diplomatic training keeping her voice steady. "Both of our civilizations could benefit from technology sharing." Vextar interrupted, and this time there was no mistaking the mockery in his voice. "Let me show you something, little insect." The screen split, showing detailed scans of Earth's space assets. Every satellite, every space station, every rocket ever launched appeared in perfect detail. Sarah's heart sank as she realized the aliens had been watching humanity far longer than anyone had suspected. "Your most powerful rocket uses chemical combustion, a technology we abandoned before your species learned to make fire," Vextar continued. "Your computers operate on principles we consider obsolete by several million years. Your weapons." The alien made that glass-breaking laugh again, throwing metal projectiles and crude nuclear fusion. "How delightfully primitive. Lieutenant Rodriguez leaned towards Sarah and whispered urgently, "Captain, they're scanning our ship in real time. They know everything about our technology." Vextar heard the whisper somehow and responded before Sarah could. "Yes, we know everything about your pathetic vessel. Chemical thrusters, basic fusion reactor, primitive communications array. This ship represents your absolute pinnacle of achievement, and it would not qualify for waste disposal duty in our empire." Sarah felt her face burning with humiliation, but she pressed on. "Every civilization begins somewhere, Supreme Commander. We hoped that a more advanced species might be willing to guide us, as we would guide younger civilizations we might encounter." "Guide you?" Vextar's silver orbs rotated faster. "The Zephyrian Empire does not guide. We conquer, we rule, or we eliminate. There is no fourth option." The screen changed again, showing a massive holographic display of the solar system. Red markers appeared around Earth, Mars, and the asteroid belt. "This entire system now belongs to the Zephyrian Empire. Your planet will serve as a mining colony and agricultural center. Your species will work under our supervision." "And if we refuse?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. "Refusal is not an option for insects," Vextar replied. "However, we are not entirely without mercy. We will give your species 30 of your days to prepare for integration into our empire. Use this time to organize your population centers and prepare work assignments. We will return to begin the transition." Dr. Webb stepped forward from his position near the back of the bridge. "Supreme Commander, surely there's room for negotiation. Humanity has always believed that different species can coexist peacefully." Vextar's attention shifted to the elderly scientist, and for a moment, something almost like interest flickered in those silver orbs. "You speak of coexistence, old one. Tell me, what happens when your species encounters insects in your dwellings?" We often remove them more." Dr. Webb's voice trailed off as he understood the implication. "Exactly. You are insects. We are not. The relationship is not complicated." Vextar's form began to fade from the screen. 30 days, little insects. Use them wisely." The communication ended, leaving the bridge of the New Horizon in stunned silence. Sarah stared at the blank screen, her mind racing through the implications of what had just occurred. Humanity's first contact with alien life had been an unmitigated disaster. "Captain," Lieutenant Rodriguez said quietly, "what do we tell Earth?" Sarah turned to face her crew. These men and women had volunteered for this mission, believing they would help usher in a new age of cosmic cooperation. Instead, they had witnessed humanity's insignificance in the face of galactic power. "We tell them the truth," Sarah said finally. "All of it." The journey back to Earth took another 3 months, but it felt like years. The crew of the New Horizon worked in shifts, preparing detailed reports on every aspect of their encounter with the Zephyrians. They analyzed the alien technology they had observed, compiled psychological profiles of Vextar and his subordinates, and tried to calculate the odds of Earth mounting any kind of meaningful resistance. The numbers were not encouraging. Based on their observations, the Zephyrian Empire possessed technology that was literally millions of years ahead of humanity's public capabilities. Their ships operated on principles that human science hadn't even theorized about. Their weapons systems could probably destroy Earth's entire military in minutes. When the New Horizon finally entered Earth's solar system, Sarah was amazed to see how small and fragile their home planet looked from space. The blue marble that held everything humanity had ever known or loved, now threatened by forces beyond their comprehension. The emergency session of the United Nations Security Council convened within hours of the New Horizon's landing. Sarah stood before the assembly of world leaders, knowing that her words would determine humanity's response to an impossible situation. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "I regret to inform you that humanity's first contact with alien life has resulted in a demand for our complete surrender. The Zephyrian Empire considers us insects, unworthy of negotiation or compromise. They have given us 30 days to prepare for what they call integration into their empire. The chamber erupted in shouted questions and angry demands. Some delegates called for immediate military mobilization. Others suggested attempting further diplomacy. A few seemed to favor accepting the alien demands to avoid extinction. Through the chaos, Sarah noticed one man who remained completely calm. Admiral Rose Martinez sat in the back of the chamber, her weathered face showing no surprise at the news. When their eyes met, the Admiral gave Sarah an almost imperceptible nod. After the session ended and the other delegates filed out arguing among themselves, Admiral Martinez approached Sarah. "Captain Chen, I need you to come with me. There's something you need to see." Sarah followed the Admiral through a series of security checkpoints she didn't know existed. Elevators descended far deeper than should have been possible beneath the UN building. Corridors stretched into darkness, lit by harsh fluorescent lights that hummed with electricity. "Admiral, where are we going?" Sarah asked as they walked. "To meet some people who have been preparing for this day for a very long time," Martins replied cryptically. They emerged into a vast underground facility that took Sarah's breath away. The space stretched out like an aircraft hangar, but instead of planes, it contained banks of computer servers, holographic displays, and technology that looked decades ahead of anything Sarah had seen on Earth. At the center of it all stood Dr. Marcus Webb, the same xenobiologist who had accompanied her on the diplomatic mission. But he wasn't wearing his rumpled professor clothes anymore. Instead, he wore a crisp military uniform with insignia Sarah didn't recognize. "Welcome to Project Nightfall, Captain," Dr. Webb said with a smile that held secrets. "I believe it's time you learned what humanity has really been doing for the past 30 years. Sarah stared at the elderly scientist, her mind struggling to process what she was seeing. "Dr. Webb, what is this place? What's Project Nightfall?" Admiral Martinez stepped forward. "Captain Chen, what I'm about to show you is classified at the highest levels. Fewer than 100 people on Earth know the full scope of what you're about to see." A massive holographic display activated in the center of the facility, showing what appeared to be a detailed schematic of some kind of spacecraft. But this wasn't like any human vessel Sarah had ever seen. The design was sleek, predatory, and covered with weapon systems that shouldn't exist. 30 years ago, Dr. Webb began. A damaged alien probe crashed in the Antarctic. Not Cypherian, but from another species entirely. We've been reverse engineering their technology ever since. Sarah's legs felt weak. "You mean we've had alien technology for 30 years? And no one told the public?" "We couldn't risk it," Admiral Martinez explained. "If hostile aliens were watching us, we needed them to think we were exactly what we appeared to be. Primitive, helpless, unworthy of concern." The holographic display zoomed in on the spacecraft's details. Sarah could see weapon systems that defied physics, propulsion systems that made her ship's engines look like steam power, and defensive capabilities that could probably withstand anything the Cypherians might throw at them. "This is the EDS Retribution," Dr. Webb said proudly. "Earth's first and most powerful stealth battleship. She's been hidden on the far side of the moon for 15 years, waiting for a day we hoped would never come." Sarah stared at the impossible ship, her understanding of everything she thought she knew about humanity's capabilities crumbling around her. "How many ships like this do we have?" Admiral Martinez smiled grimly. "Enough. The Cypherians think they're dealing with insects, Captain. They're about to learn that some insects have very dangerous stings." The countdown timer on the wall showed 27 days remaining until the aliens' return. But for the first time since the disastrous first contact, Sarah Chen felt something other than despair. She felt hope. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, in facilities hidden from alien eyes, humanity's true strength was awakening. The species that had been mocked as primitive insects was about to show the galaxy what humans could do when their backs were against the wall. The Cypherians had made one critical error in their assessment of humanity. They had judged Earth's people by their public technology, never suspecting that the greatest human strength had always been the ability to hide their true capabilities until the moment of greatest need. In 27 days, Supreme Commander Vextar would return expecting to find a broken, surrendering world. Instead, he would discover that humanity had been preparing for this fight longer than he had been alive. The insects were about to reveal their sting. Humanity's greatest secret awakens. Captain Jake Morrison had spent the last 15 years of his life preparing for a war he hoped would never come. As he floated through the corridors of the EDS Retribution, humanity's most classified weapon, he tried to ignore the weight of 7 billion lives resting on his shoulders. The ship around him hummed with power that defied everything the public knew about human technology. The Retribution hung in the shadow of Luna's far side, invisible to Earth-based telescopes and alien sensors alike. At 2 kilometers long, the stealth battleship represented humanity's greatest achievement and its deepest secret. Her hull was composed of metamaterials that bent light and energy around them, making the massive vessel effectively invisible to conventional detection methods. Captain Morrison to the bridge announced the ship's AI in a voice that sounded almost human. Priority Alpha message from Earth Command. Jake pushed off from the corridor wall, using handholds to navigate through the ship's zero-gravity sections. The Retribution had been his home for 3 years now, ever since Admiral Martinez had selected him to command humanity's most important vessel. Every day, he and his crew of 200 had trained for the scenario they all hoped would remain theoretical. The bridge was a marvel of reverse-engineered alien technology mixed with human ingenuity. Holographic displays surrounded the command stations, showing everything from local space traffic to the positions of every known Zephyrian vessel in the system. At the center of it all sat the captain's chair, its neural interface crown waiting to connect Jake directly to the ship's systems. "Report," Jake ordered as he settled into the command chair. The neural crown descended, and suddenly he could feel the ship around him like a second body. Every sensor became an extension of his senses, every weapon system an extension of his will. Chief Engineer Lisa Park looked up from her station, her face grim. "The Zephyrians are early, Captain. Long-range sensors detect their fleet dropping out of hyperspace near Jupiter. Estimated arrival at Earth in 6 hours." Jake felt his heart rate spike, but his voice remained steady. "How many ships?" "Over 300, replied Tactical Officer Ryan Storm. "Much larger force than their initial scouting fleet. They're not taking any chances this time." Through the ship's sensors, Jake could feel the massive alien fleet as it oriented itself toward Earth. The Zephyrians had brought enough firepower to glass entire planets, confident that humanity would either surrender immediately or be crushed within minutes of attempting resistance. "Sir," Communications Officer Sarah Kim announced, "we're receiving the activation signal from Project Nightfall Command. All hidden assets are to begin final preparations." Jake closed his eyes and extended his senses through the ship's network. Across the solar system, humanity's secret weapons were coming online. The orbital defense platforms disguised as communication satellites, the missile batteries hidden in asteroid mining stations, the fighter squadrons concealed in the gas giants' rings. For 30 years, Earth had been building a defense network while the galaxy watched them play with chemical rockets. "Engineering, report on primary systems," Jake ordered. Lisa's fingers flew across her holographic controls. "Quantum drive is operating at 98% efficiency. Gravitational shields are primed and ready. All weapon systems show green across the board." "Weapons status," Jake called to Ryan. "Quantum torpedoes loaded and armed. Particle beam arrays charged to full power. The main cannon is spinning up to firing parameters." Ryan's voice held barely controlled excitement. After years of simulations, they were finally going to see what their weapons could do against real targets. Jake opened a communication channel to Earth Command. Admiral Martinez appeared on the main screen, her face showing the strain of coordinating humanity's most complex military operation. "Admiral, the Retribution is ready for deployment," Jake reported. What are our orders? The Zephyrians are broadcasting demands for immediate surrender, Martines replied. They want all world leaders to present themselves for processing within 2 hours. If we comply, they promise a quick integration into their empire. If we resist, they promise complete extermination. And our response? Admiral Martinez smiled, and for a moment, Jake saw the young fighter pilot she had been decades ago. Our response, Captain Morrison, is to show these aliens what happens when they threaten humanity. You are cleared for Operation Starfall. Show them that Earth's insects have learned to fly. The communication ended, leaving Jake alone with his thoughts and his crew. Through the ship's sensors, he watched as the Zephyrian fleet approached Earth in perfect formation. They moved like conquerors who had performed this dance 1,000 times before, confident in their overwhelming superiority. Captain, Sarah Kim announced, I'm picking up Zephyrian communications. They're not even encrypting them. They don't think we're capable of intercepting their signals. What are they saying? What are they saying? They're laughing, sir, making jokes about how quickly they expect us to surrender. Commander Vexstar is boasting to his subordinates about how the carbon insects will make excellent slave labor. Jake felt a cold anger settle in his chest. The neural interface amplified his emotions, and for a moment, every weapon system on the ship seemed to hunger for targets. Put me on ship-wide communications. Channel open, Captain. Jake's voice carried to every corner of the Retribution as he addressed his crew. Everyone listen carefully. In 30 minutes, we're going to do something that no human has ever done before. We're going to fight aliens in open space combat. Our enemy believes we're primitive insects, unworthy of respect or mercy. They think this battle will last minutes. He paused, feeling the weight of history pressing down on him. They're wrong. For 30 years, the best minds of our species have prepared for this moment. Every system on this ship, every weapon we carry, every tactic we'll use today was designed by humans who refused to accept that our species was destined for slavery. Through the ship's internal sensors, Jake could see his crew straightening at their stations. These weren't career soldiers or academy graduates. They were volunteers who had given up normal lives to serve aboard a ship that officially didn't exist, preparing for a war that might never come. In a few minutes, Earth is going to reveal its true strength to the galaxy. We are not insects. We are humans. And today, we show the universe what that means. Jake cut the communication and opened a channel to the other hidden assets throughout the solar system. All Nightfall units, this is Retribution Actual. Execute Operation Starfall on my mark. On Earth's surface, people looked up at the sky as the Zephyrian fleet became visible to the naked eye. The alien ships hung in orbit like malevolent stars, their message clear: surrender or die. In emergency bunkers and command centers, world leaders waited for Admiral Martinez's signal. The moment came when Supreme Commander Vexstar's voice echoed across every communication frequency on Earth. Insects of the third planet, your time has expired. Present your leaders for processing, or we will begin demonstrating the consequences of resistance. Admiral Martinez activated the master switch that had waited 30 years to be used. All units, this is Nightfall Command. Operation Starfall is now active. Show them what humans can do. Jake smiled as he felt the Retribution's cloaking field deactivate. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden weapons revealed themselves simultaneously. What the Zephyrians had thought was empty space suddenly filled with human warships, defense platforms, and weapon systems that shouldn't exist. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Ship Retribution. He broadcast on all frequencies. Supreme Commander Vexstar, you called us insects. You demanded our surrender. You threatened our families and our world. Through the tactical display, Jake watched as confusion spread through the Zephyrian fleet. Their perfect formation wavered as ship commanders tried to understand how primitive humans had suddenly surrounded them with advanced technology. We have a message for you and your empire, Jake continued. Earth does not surrender. Earth does not kneel, and Earth's children are not insects. Jake's hand moved to the firing controls as the neural interface merged his consciousness with the ship's weapon systems. We are humans, and we bite back. The space around Earth erupted in light as humanity's hidden fleet opened fire. Quantum torpedoes, invisible to Zephyrian sensors, struck the alien ships before they could raise their shields. Particle beams lanced through space, their energy focused to pierce even the most advanced armor. The Retribution's main cannon fired, creating a localized gravity well that crushed a Zephyrian battleship like tinfoil. Supreme Commander Vextar's shocked face appeared on the Retribution's main screen as he tried to coordinate his fleet's response. Impossible. You are primitives. Chemical rockets and metal projectiles. That's what we wanted you to think, Jake replied as his ship executed a maneuver that should have been impossible, using gravitational fields to change direction without inertia. 30 years ago, we found wreckage from one of your enemies. We've been reverse engineering their technology ever since. The battle raged across Earth's orbital space as humanity's secret fleet engaged the Zephyrian invasion force. Ships that had been hidden for decades revealed weapon systems that matched or exceeded alien capabilities. The defense platforms, disguised as satellites, unleashed torrents of directed energy that carved through enemy hulls. "Sir," Ryan Storm reported, his voice filled with amazement, "we're winning. The Zephyrians are falling back." Jake watched through the ship's sensors as the alien fleet, designed to intimidate primitive worlds into submission, found itself outgunned by the very insects they had mocked. Human tactics, developed through centuries of warfare, proved superior to Zephyrian arrogance. "This is impossible," Vextar transmitted, his crystalline features twisted with confusion and growing fear. "Your technology is primitive. We observed your capabilities." "You observed what we wanted you to observe," Jake replied. "The greatest human weapon isn't our technology, Supreme Commander. It's our ability to prepare for threats we hope we'll never face." The Retribution swept through the alien formation like a sword through silk. Her weapon systems, perfected through decades of secret development, proved devastatingly effective against Zephyrian shields and armor. Around her, the hidden fleet of Earth pressed their advantage, using human tactical doctrine to turn the aliens' superior numbers against them. But it was more than just technology that gave humanity the edge. It was the desperate courage of a species fighting for their home. Every human in the fleet knew that their families, their world, everything they had ever loved, hung in the balance. Engineer Lisa Park's voice cut through the battle communications. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy buildup from the Zephyrian flagship. They're charging some kind of planet-killer weapon." Jake's enhanced senses focused on the massive alien vessel at the center of their formation. Through quantum sensors, he could see the weapon charging, drawing power from the ship's entire grid. If it fired, Earth would become a lifeless rock. "All ships, priority target the flagship," Jake broadcast. "They're preparing to destroy Earth." The human fleet converged on Vextar's command ship, but their weapons barely scratched its massive shields. The planet killer continued charging, its energy signature growing stronger by the second. "There's only one way," Jake realized. He opened a direct channel to Admiral Martinez. "Admiral, I'm going to ram the flagship. The Retribution's quantum drive will destabilize their weapon system." "Jake, no," Martinez replied. "There has to be another way." "Not in time," Jake said quietly. He looked around the bridge at his crew, these brave humans who had sacrificed their lives for a war they hoped would never come. "It's been an honor serving with all of you." But before Jake could give the order, another voice cut through the communications. "This is Commander Zora Vextar of the Zephyrian vessel Crystal Wing. I am ordering all Zephyrian ships to cease fire and withdraw from Earth space." On the main screen, a younger Zephyrian appeared. Her crystalline features were similar to the Supreme Commander's, but her silver orbs held something Jake hadn't seen in any alien before: respect. "What are you doing?" Supreme Commander Vextar demanded of the newcomer. "What should have been done from the beginning, Father?" Zara replied. These humans have proven themselves worthy of our respect. They are not insects. They are warriors. Jake watched in amazement as half the Zephyrian fleet powered down their weapons and began withdrawing from Earth orbit. The other half, still loyal to Vexstar, continued their attack, but with far less coordination. You dare defy the Empire? Vexstar snarled at his daughter. I dare to recognize courage when I see it, Zara replied. These humans have shown us something we have forgotten. They fight not for conquest or glory, but for their home, for their families. That is a nobility we have not seen in millennia. The tide of battle had turned completely. With half their fleet refusing to fight, and the other half demoralized by the human display of hidden strength, the Zephyrian invasion collapsed. Ship after ship began withdrawing, unwilling to continue a battle they were no longer certain they could win. Supreme Commander Vexstar, isolated and defeated, made one final desperate transmission. This is not over, insects. The Empire has 1,000 worlds, 1,000,000 ships. We will return. If you do, Jake replied, you'll find us ready. Humanity doesn't start fights, Supreme Commander, but we finish them. The last Zephyrian ship disappeared into hyperspace, leaving Earth's space clear for the first time in hours. Around the planet, the hidden defense fleet began to reveal itself to the world as the greatest secret in human history became public knowledge. On the bridge of the Retribution, Jake Morrison sat back in his captain's chair and tried to process what had just happened. Humanity had faced its first interstellar war and emerged victorious, not through superior technology alone, but through the uniquely human ability to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Captain, Sarah Kim announced, we're receiving the communication from Commander Zara Vexstar. The young Zephyrian appeared on screen, her crystalline features somehow softer than before. Captain Morrison, I wanted to personally apologize for my father's actions. The Empire has grown arrogant over the millennia. We had forgotten that true strength comes not from the power to destroy, but from the wisdom to preserve. Thank you, Commander, Jake replied. Will there be others who share your father's views? Perhaps, Zora admitted. But today, you have given hope to every species in the galaxy that has ever been dismissed as primitive or unworthy. The story of Earth's defense will spread throughout the stars. You have changed everything. As the communication ended, Jake looked around at his crew. They had won, but at a cost. The secret was out now. Humanity could no longer hide behind the facade of primitive technology. They would have to take their place in the galactic community as equals, not as protected children. But perhaps that was always the goal. Perhaps the 30 years of secret preparation had been building toward this moment, when humanity would step out of the shadows and declare themselves ready for whatever the universe might bring. Through the Retribution's viewports, Jake could see Earth hanging in space, blue and beautiful and safe. 7 billion humans continued their lives, most never knowing how close they had come to extinction. But they were alive, they were free, and they were no longer alone in the universe. The insects had learned to fly, and the galaxy would never be the same.